Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name's Cassidy. Thanks so much for watching. I'm nearing the end of my semester. I'm graduating. Everything is crazy right now. I have a sore throat, so there's a lot going on, but I had to give you the books that I read in April. I could not let another month pass without giving you a reading wrap up for the month. So, you know, that's what today's video is about. So if you want to stick around and hear what I read this month, do that. Let's get into the video. You all know what it's going to be because I just said it. An April reading wrap up. Who doesn't love a reading wrap up? Let's get into it. I read 7 books this month, which for the amount of stuff that I had going on, I will take that because oh my god, this month just feels like it flew by, and now like I'm literally graduating in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, and I'm like, holy crap, what am I doing? Like I was saying, I read 7 books this month. They were all, you could guess it, romance books. Let's start talking about them. The first 4 books I read were the Anna Huang Twisted series books, and I did a video on reading the first book of that, and it was a lot, to say the least. I have 3 of them right here. It's the second book that I didn't have like the paper copy of it, so I read it on my Kindle, but these books are very steamy. So if you want a steamy romance read, this is right up your alley. They have a lot of darker themes like intertwined in them, but I kind of like that about them. That isn't the part that was like throwing me off. What threw me off was the cringy one-liners, and so I think that if you can get past those, that you'll really enjoy these books. It is like a romance. It is, you know, I feel like a lot of romances like this, like the steamy ones, they are gonna have these like lines that you're like, ooh, no. But these books in particular had more of them, I think. The first book is Twisted Love, and this is a brother's best friend. It's a forbidden romance. It's really good. This is the book that I vlogged about, and when I was reading it, I was like, like I said, some of the lines in here were just, they were a lot, but it was still really good, and I still think it like pulled me in enough to be like, oh, I need to keep reading the other 3 books in the series. Basically, it follows Alex and Ava, and Ava's brother is best friends with Alex, who is like moody, grumpy. So it's also Grumpy Sunshine. Ava's brother is going away for a year, and so he asks Alex to like look after Ava, and of course they're living right next to each other, so close proximity. It's all of the tropes. But while he's away, you know, they start hanging out more, and one thing leads to another. That's the first book. It was really good. Okay, then the second book in the series was Twisted Games, and all 4 of these books follow, it's a different character obviously in each book, but all 4 of these girls are like best friends, and so they're all interconnected. You see all the characters in all of the books. So like each girl falls for a different guy, but then they all end up becoming friends, and like they're all intertwined. So I really liked that aspect of it because I just love opening up like the next book and still being like, oh, there's this couple, or like, oh, I think these 2 characters are gonna get together in the next book. Like I really like that part of it. So the second book follows Bridget and Reese. It's one of those RHYS. And when I was reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, I was reading it as like Rise, but I think it's Reese. So we're gonna go Reese. So it follows the 2 of them. Bridget has a little bit of different of a story because she is like royalty. So she has a bodyguard because she's not queen, but she's like something royal. She has a bodyguard. She gets a new bodyguard, and it's Reese, who just so happens to be young. Well, I think there might be an age gap, but younger and hot. You know, it's like a royal bodyguard trope. It's so good. Like obviously forbidden romance, she's not supposed to be dating her bodyguard, but it's so good. I think the second book, like Twisted Games, might be my favorite out of the series just because like the tension between the 2 of them, so good. So definitely recommend that one. The third book is Twisted Hate. This follows Josh and Jules. Josh is Ava from the first book, Ava's brother. So Jules is in the friend group obviously, but closest with Ava, I would say. Like they're like best friends, even though all 4 of the girls are all best friends. But follows Josh and Jules, who it's like a enemies to lovers trope because they absolutely despise each other, and like you can see that in the first 2 books how much they hate each other. And you know, in this book, obviously it turns into less hate. They decide to just like be, it's not friends with benefits because they don't like each other, so it's like enemies with benefits, you know? Like it's like a, like, oh, I hate you, but like, let's do this thing. They did not say that. Yeah, they get together. It starts as like no strings attached, like no feelings. So also really good. Okay, then we have the 4th book, Twisted Lies. This one is like, I think this is the biggest book. I don't know. Twisted Hate's pretty thick too. They're pretty thick. This one follows Christian and Stella. Stella is an influencer and Christian is Reese's friend. I forgot to mention that Reese is the bodyguard, but he like worked for this like security company. Christian owns that security company, but it's more of like there's some like darker things going on behind the scenes of this company, like he kills people and stuff. It's very like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's like a dark, I was gonna say twisted romance, but given the name of the books, that does make sense. So we're gonna move on from that. It's about Christian and Stella. Stella also lives in Christian's building that he owns and that he also lives in. And so she thinks she has a stalker. Well, she does have a stalker. And like one thing leads to another. She ends up living in Christian's apartment with him so that he can make sure that like nothing happens to her. And, you know, close proximity. This one was really good. Not my favorite of the series, but like it was still a really good read. All of them, like I said, super steamy. They're very good, but they do have cringy lines. So if you can get past that, I think you'll really enjoy these books. Okay, the next series I read, and I found this series like on a whim. I was watching Steph Bohr's one video and she had mentioned it and I was like, that sounds so good. I need to read it since I found this new obsession with sports romances. So anyways, it's the Windy City series. It's by Liz Tomford. I've never heard of this series before I heard Steph Bohr talking about it. So shout out Steph. It was so good, like so good. So good. So the first book in the series, it's 2 books, but I think another book is coming out soon or it's already out. I'm not like quite sure. I don't think it's already out. I think it's coming out soon, a 3rd book. The first book is Mile High and it's a hockey sports romance. So Xander's is like your typical bad boy hockey player. That's how he like gets his press, is by like being the playboy, always having girls on him, always like, you know, getting penalized or whatever for doing something stupid on the ice. And Stevie is a flight attendant and she just so happens to get the flight attendant job that is like flying with the team for the whole season. And he decides that he's gonna like start picking on Stevie. And it's just like so good, the banter back and forth, but then like they're not allowed to be together because he has to keep up this appearance and Stevie will get fired if she's caught like fraternizing with the players. So forbidden romance again. It's so good. I really liked it. And then the second book follows characters that are already introduced in the first book. So again, like I love that about series. It just feels like you're in this little world and like I don't want to leave it. It's just so fun. I love it. So it follows Ryan and Indy. Ryan is Stevie's brother and he is an NBA player. And Indy is Stevie's like really good friend that she meets through being a flight attendant. They were both flight attendants together. So that's how they met. And Indy is out of a place to live. And so Stevie's like, Ryan, you have to give her a place to live. Like, you know, I'm your sister. Please do it for me. She doesn't have anywhere to go because she just got out of a breakup. So he does it and he lets Indy stay there and he hates it at first. But then like little by little, she starts getting him out of his shell. He has like a lot of, I don't know, just like issues to work on. And they just help each other and like it's so cute. And I just love, I don't know, I just love the like budding romance of the two of them because I loved the first book so much. But like the second book, I don't know, just learning about Ryan more because in the first book, he's only like briefly mentioned as like, it's Stevie's brother who's like mega famous, like he can't mess up. He has to like always put on this public front, like public, you know, appearance because he's so big in basketball. But then like learning actually his character in the second book, I just loved it. And I just fell in love with Indy and Ryan. And I think both the books are so good, especially like they're not set in the summer, but like they're kind of giving like it's spring, like there's so many exciting things coming up. That's like kind of what it gave. So highly recommend those two books. Okay, and then the last book I read this month, which is super, super exciting, is If I'm Being Honest. This is by Kristen Marzullo. You've probably seen, I'm trying to think, one or two of her other books in my past videos, but Kristen is an indie author. So this book follows Brooklyn and Eli. Brooklyn moved to Boston to be with her mom, and she's kind of just like trying to find herself. She doesn't know who she really is right now. Was just living with her dad, and like that didn't work out, so she's staying with her mom right now for the summer. And she meets Eli, who works in a bookstore, and they kind of instantly like hit it off. He's giving her book recommendations, but there's a piece of Eli that's like he's not really opening up the full way, and she's not sure why. And come to find out, it's because of another girl in his past that kind of seems to be blocking him from growing. And so you're just following Brooklyn and Eli's relationship. I think Eli gets a bad rap at the rap. He has a bad look at the beginning because he kind of just like flips a switch and he's just like angry and he's like, go away, like blah, blah, blah. But then you start realizing like he is so much deeper than what initially seems to be there. And I think that his character development throughout the book, and once you realize at the end like what's going on, it just shows like, I don't know, I just felt a lot of like compassion for him. And yeah, it was really cute. So if you're looking for a good romance to get you in the mood for the summer, it's so good. So there is a lot of heavy themes. So, you know, trigger warning for that, but I'd highly recommend. So those are the books that I read in April. I'm super excited for May to see what I read. Yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books or if you want to read any of these books. I'd love to hear in the comments. And I will see you in my next video.